Hey, what's going on? My name is Dylan, or as my friends like to call me, dylxn, whatever works. But I'm going to be breaking down the production of my song just put out about a week ago called You Shouldn't Be Here. It's with my friend Atlas in Motion. So the response has been really crazy. I was not expecting it to do this well, but I am extremely grateful. So here is kind of how it started. At the beginning, I'm going to break it down really quickly. So for those of you who don't want to go super in depth with anything, I'm just going to do each section in like a minute or two. So first started off with the guitars, just this main guitar. And that's just, 3 chords that are really easy to play. I suck at guitar, so whatever works. And then in these drums here, I added that beatbox that you hear throughout the whole song. I'm just gonna solo it really quick. So that thing that plays throughout the whole song basically. And those two together, kind of the first verse. And then I thought of I was just another kind of lost, so I just kind of wrote the first verse off of that. Waking up, there was nothing to do. So after that, I added a bunch of different drums to kind of give the verse. Doing everything right, knew that I'd align, but couldn't see the sign. Have it go somewhere. And then all the drums in the chorus come in right here. So nothing too crazy besides that beatbox. Some random drum loops cut up, a little fill, the snares, the kicks, and then this crazy big kick. Ready? So shout out Sophie, rest in peace. But all the guitars with all the drums in the chorus right here. And add the sub. And the vocals. Just a shit show, but out there and doesn't the vocal chop. I thought that I could get by without living. And that is the bones of the track. So, for anyone who wanted to just see that, there it is really quickly. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth here. So let's start off with the guitars. So this section is just going to be like going in depth with plugins, or why I did something, why I think it's cool, or how I did it, or whatnot. So this guitar here, it's just a guitar rig, like the free guitar rig demo version. It's just a preset in there. I think it's called Vintage Slapback. Vintage Slapback. That guy. And then some RC20 for a little bit more character, so it doesn't sound like every other guitar in the world. Another thing that I did a little bit to make it my own was Ableton has this thing called Beats Mode. At least that's what I call it. And what it kind of does is it lets you play with the transients, so like the beginnings of every hit of a sound, of a wave, of this waveform. So like transients are the beginning parts, the changes. And really what it defaults to, it doesn't default exactly to this, but it sounds, so you can barely tell the difference, but it's just like a little bit longer, a little more fluid like this. What I did was I changed up this arrow to the first one, and then I shortened the transients just a tiny bit. That just kind of shortens things up and makes it choppy. And I'll show you, I did that with the beatbox as well. So how I did this beatbox was I got my normal vocal chain on there, I guess. I didn't even take the auto tune off. Gated, some decapitator. This is just a distortion plugin. Kind of goes crazy. So this punish button, destroys the sound, and I just kind of liked it. Might even be a little bit too much, but I don't know, I liked it. And then I just used some micro shift to spread it out to the sides. That's why I hear it like that instead of like this, mono. But if I add it, boom, it's on the sides. I use micro shift probably more than any other plugin, to be honest. It's one of my favorites. So let's see. After that little beatbox, I added the kick, the snare. Let's just do all the drums here. So the snare looks like that. This really like airy one is a laxity snare, and this one, a little bit harsher one, is a decap snare. The kick is also a decap kick. Decap is this Grammy-nominated producer. His sounds are all over the Grammys. He might have won a Grammy, I'm not actually sure. But they're just off of Splice. So, Drums That Knock, Decap, search that on Splice if you want some crazy drums. In the chorus here, this is just a constant eighth note hi-hat, or maybe it's, I guess technically quarter notes in this session, but eighth notes in the song. Added with the perks. So all I did with these perks here are like percussion. I chopped up some loops. So this first one, I just cut it at random times. I might have even, no, I didn't do anything with the beats mode there or here, but really I just cut it in random spots and tucked it in and out. Just kind of give it some texture. This right one, both of these here actually just give the drums a lot of space rather than everything being super mono. So if I take both of these loops out, you can feel that it's like super, feels robotic, but if you add these little perk loops, you get that little noise in the right, and the left just stuff like not super on beat. And the fill here is, all it is just some kick drums. Might even be the same kick, I'm not sure. Deep side, no, looks like it's a little bit different kick, but all I did was pitch it up a ton, shorten these up all a different amount, pitched them all a different amount, just so they don't sound the same. But that's literally all it is. And then what you're hearing back here is this drum loop happened to have some hits that just worked perfectly with the with that little fill, and then as well as the snare. So that just kind of all works together really well. All the drums together. In the second half of the chorus, you'll hear this shaker that just kind of drags it back a little bit. Kind of gets your head bopping a little bit. So yeah, that's really the drums. For the guitars, let's hear the guitars in the chorus. So of course I have this one. Second one I added was this little slap guitar, or really reverbed out. It's probably not even a slap. And then I added these two. Those are my two favorites. They're in the verse too. Just a strum in the right ear and then a little bit of a choppy thing in the left ear. It's just, yet again, beats mode, shortened it up. This time I used the eighth note thing. Did I pitch them? Looks like this one I pitched up, and this one I didn't touch. So that just gives you something else to listen for. so it doesn't all sound the same. And then this last one I added, even though it sounds really bad, you can't really tell in the context of the entire mix. So it just kind of tells you, you know, the song is going somewhere. So in this case, it's the end of the chorus, but and then the chorus comes in after that. So one last guitar I had was these just chords. Super simple stuff. Looks like I pitched this down. So I just played it really high and then I pitched one down and put them together, pretty much. What you'll notice a lot here on the side are these track delays. So that just means the entire track is delayed by, in this case, 9 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, 16. So really all that does is just kind of helps you fit everything into its correct pocket. Not necessarily correct, but just kind of helps everything flow better and groove better. So after the guitars, we can go to the vocals. So just this lead vocal. I was just another kind. Go through my vocal chain a little bit. So just some standard stuff you've probably seen before if you've watched any stuff like this, any breakdowns, but auto-tune. So I mean, auto-tune really just, I like the way it sounds. Looks like it's pretty high up here. I usually don't put it that high, but it really helps your voice sit in a mix better, and of course just makes it sound better. So I was just here's without it. Kind of lost. So, you know, a little bit pitchy. Waking up, there was nothing to do but search my thoughts. I was just so that's without it. And here's with it. It just kind of helps it sit better and feel more correct when everything's together. So back to the vocals here. Back to my vocal chain. So it's just auto-tune and EQ to cut out the lows. I think I got it at 70 there, 71. Take out some of the mids, boost some of the highs right there. In terms of compressors, this is one thing I may do a little bit differently than a lot of people, is I have 4 compressors on my vocal chain. It's just they all give their own character to the sound, rather than just being destroyed by one compressor. You can just kind of give it a bunch of different feels from different compressors. So some color. This one's doing most of the work, I think. This one and the R-Vocals. And then, again, just a little bit of a different sound. This is just a mid-shelf, taking out some of the mids there. And then de-esser. So you hear me, like when I say this red goes crazy. That's because it's really sibilant. There's a lot of sibilance there. Just kind of helps that. So so you hear that crazy S if I don't have that de-esser on there. So it just kind of helps tame those. And then this, I think, is just boosting the highs a tiny bit, and it's tiny bit of this saturation. At the end, I boosted the highs again because it wasn't enough. I tend to find that a lot. The highs never are pronounced very well with my vocal chain, so I almost always add this extra high boost at the end. And of course, the infamous Soothe 2. Waking up, there is nothing to do. If you watch any production breakdown these days that's been made in the last year or 2 years, I almost guarantee that you'll see Soothe all over the place. mostly on vocals, but
doing everything right, knew they had a lie. I couldn't see the side, but it was breaking down in front of me. I don't know how I could be so wrong.
just makes it sound so much cleaner and
I couldn't
just
see
better.
the side.
So yeah, that's really my vocal chain. In terms of harmonies and stacks and whatever,
I was just another
so some doubles right here at the beginning.
Waking up, there was nothing to do but search my thoughts.
So there's some harmonies.
Always told that I was fine, doing everything right.
So you're hearing some distortion in these, just doubles. And then what I did was I added some, I did a little altar boy. For the breaking down in front of me, what I did was pitched it up all the way, formatted it down all the way. So it just kind of gives it like a really weird robot-y sound, and then even more distortion on there. Just something else to listen to. So now when you listen to the song, you'll probably hear that again. It just kind of gives, you know, makes everything not feel the same and sound the same. So. And then these little effects here before the. So all it is just a little bit of a riser before the chorus, just to kind of give it a sense of direction. So the vocal chop, here it is. Solo it out just so you can hear it. So this actually happened when I was, usually what I do is I'll just like mumble a melody, just to try to get a melody for the verse, and this is what I came up with. This was going to be the original melody of like the second half of the first verse, but I decided to do something different, but I just kept this as a vocal chop. So it's just my same vocal chain, and then a bunch of different stereo stuff and echoes, and then some RC20 to distort it, add some space. Nothing crazy there. And then you can hear a bunch of delays and reverb on there. So for the third one, I just pitched it up one octave, and then it comes back to the normal.
No, you shouldn't be here.
All right, let's get into Jackson's part. So Jackson is Atlas in Motion. Fun fact is I was actually a fan of him for years before I even started making music. And one day he just messaged me on Instagram and said we should make a song together at some point. And so that's what happened.
No, you shouldn't be here.
So first of all, Jackson's production, his stuff comes in the second verse. So it's the main guitar in the second verse. And then there's a little bit of a counter guitar, as well as this crazy sub. That's my favorite part of the song. So honestly, I think that sub and his verse just totally makes the song. So all of it together, I think the only thing I did was just double this pitched up thing, double this vocal or guitar counter melody, and just pitched it up. And just kind of give, same thing here when the rest of the verse comes in. So that's his part in the second verse, his production. And what I did was if you listen to my... So at the beginning of the verse, all of my drums, they're all filtered out except for the snare. And then the filter comes away once that big sub comes in. So same thing with the guitars. Beginning here. Just filtered out. As well as I just took those same guitar chords and I just took each one individually and reversed them. So you'll probably hear that in the song now when you listen to it. So let's get into his vocals. So he basically just sent me a bunch of different vocals and I just kind of put them where I felt was right in terms of like harmonies and doubles and stuff. And I also added some of my own. So in terms of his vocals,
The sun is still weighing me down. I've taken every right turn until now.
here's my favorite part of the song. So what I want to be is lost in who you think I am. What a great part. All I did was just add some harmonies and some doubles. So if you take mine out, so all I did was just add some stuff so it just sounded bigger. Because that part just deserved to sound super big and be like the peak of the song. His sub comes in, and then same thing. A lot of this stuff is just me just adding doubles and harmonies to a bunch of it. So
it's hard to regret what worked. The sun is
what I did here was this is like my favorite part, and probably you can't even hear it in the song, but when he says something's still weighing me down,
the sun is still weighing me down.
I have this like super denoised, like lo-fi sounding something. I just sang it and it just goes right to left. All I did there was I took a denoiser, which is it's just for, this one in particular is just for when you're recording and there's like noise like from my computer, which you can probably hear right now. And it just kind of takes out some of the frequencies in a really cool way that like leaves some artifacts in there. I just think it sounds really cool. So really, I mean, honestly, that's the whole song, other than the end here, which is just slightly different production-wise. So all I did was I took this main guitar and I put it in a different track that has like a slap delay on it. And then I took the main guitar and I just I pitched it down and I cut them into quarter notes. Just to give it a little bit of a different feel when the beat is just kind of riding out and the song's ending. So drums are all the same there. The only thing that changes is this beatbox. You can hear the pitch kind of going down and down and down. So that is just that is just the automation on the pitch going down. And really, that's basically the whole song, so.
I'm staring out
Get some doubles.
Inside it's just a shit show.
Is.
I thought that I could get by without living a lie. Take a look in the mirror.
So that's kind of the whole song.
I'm sick.
So if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. This kind of got pretty long, but thank you very much for watching.